Who owned the weekend for you?
There's been a few people. I mean, you mentioned Oscar Piastri. I can't go past him because the enormity of winning a Formula One victory at such a young age is huge. I think we've all come to learn that to be the best in any sport, you need a fair bit of luck. He has got a lot of skill, and he's been able to get that first victory over there in Hungary. So he's been a terrific performer. You touched on some of the performers in the hammer, and I thought Tommy Trbojević's performance against Desi Hasler's team was exceptional, considering the guy was supposed to be playing a month in the centres. That lasted 5 minutes. He's back into the fullback role. But Adam Reynolds, I mean, look, you asked the question right off the top. Is there bigger issues if Adam Reynolds comes back and they win for the Brisbane Broncos? The one thing he did do is he provided great stability and he provides great guidance with the Broncos outfit. He's a great foil for Reece Walsh, who can play and did play a Reece Walsh-style game. He had 5 errors, Reece. He had 2 try assists, 4 line break assists, 2 line breaks, and a scintillating try. That is Reece Walsh. Yes, he's got some errors, but he's got some brilliance. But what he does do is he's got the little lean on. He's got that lean on that he has in Adam Reynolds, who's able just to, at different stages, and Renault talked about it, just pull him into line and do what he needs to do in relation to the team. So he was a huge inclusion for the Broncos, and it gave them a victory which they haven't tasted in over 65 days.
That's right, 65 days, and no coincidence that Adam Reynolds hadn't played for 79 days. And that's my question and my theory. When I was my fear, because I was watching Saturday night, I did the story for 7 News. I was looking at it and I went, this is great. This is excellent. Adam Reynolds is back. Are the Broncos back? Yeah, they are. Well, they've got a bit of work to do.
They're back in the winner's circle.
But, Cozza, this was the thing to me. It was like, well, hang on. Where was this for the last 10 weeks? I know no Adam Reynolds, but Reece Walsh, I mean, even Reece Walsh in Origin, 3 or 4 days earlier, very quiet. I know he copped plenty of hits, plenty of knocks, but he looked a different player. He went from line breaker to playmaker. He was throwing passes. He was using Adam Reynolds as a decoy. So, yes, confidence is one thing, but this is my fear. Moving forward, when Adam Reynolds is not going to be there, next year, yes, he is going to be there, but we know and we've seen there are more times than not that he might not be there. Last 2 seasons, he missed, 11 games. He's just missed 11 weeks now. So who stands up? They've tried Rodgers. They've tried Madden. Ezra Mam. Yeah. Who's standing up? Reece Walsh. Where is the Bronco standing up in the absence of Adam Reynolds? Because you always point to the Storm and look at them. Next man up mentality. In fact, that's what it should be. Where is that next man?
It's a good point. And, for the Broncos, I didn't think it was, over the last 6 weeks, I didn't think it was anything to do with their attack because they were still scoring enough points. Adam Reynolds is not paid to make tackles. He's paid to, direct the team around and provide such maturity and guidance. Your question is, where does that come from? Well, over the last 6 weeks, Broncos, as I touched on, scoring points never been an issue. So they've been able to do that. Defensively has been an issue for mine, but that sort of then coincides with where you hand the ball over, what you're sort of doing, what you're trying to do is push passes, and that's where Adam Reynolds comes to the forefront. Who's able to provide stability in areas that they haven't had for the last 6 weeks. They haven't had the ability for someone just to go against the grain, come up with a play for kick when the 21-year-old Reece Walsh wants to chip and chase coming out of his own end or whatever it might be, because that's the brilliance in what he can do. Moving forward, they do need to find somebody that's going to surpass Adam Reynolds and can play that role. Is it Ezra Mam? I don't think so, because Ezra plays such a great off the cuff. And, whilst we're banging on about Reece Walsh and the performance he had, it was Ezra's finest game for a long time for the Brisbane Broncos. I mean, he ended up with a try assist, a try himself, 14 runs for 155 run metres.
Yeah.
So Ezra, all of a sudden, into the game, off the back of Adam Reynolds being able to dictate. So it's an area that they obviously need to look at moving forward, because you just mentioned Jock Madden, who's injured, and he's had his opportunities, but probably fair argument suggests that he's still got a bit of way to go. Josh Rogers, you've
We've been
touched
hearing
on.
that for 3 seasons, Coles. And I don't want to put too much pressure on the young kid, but
No, you've flat out got an opinion, and that's fine. Josh Rogers, you'd think has had his opportunities, and you wouldn't feel as though that he is the answer.
he's a different player to Adam Reynolds. We know that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Kobe Black is another one who hasn't had an opportunity, but they've got big raps on in that area. But the reality is, no matter who they go, whether it's Jock Madden, Kobe Black in their own system, it's going to take time. Now, do we have time? Time is of the essence. So do they go to market and find somebody like an experienced player, like a stopgap, like an Adam Reynolds style player, or do they go to the UK Super League and find an ex-NRL player that's put a couple of seasons in over there that may want to come back into the NRL, or do they go to market and find someone on the market like Sam Walker's name, for example, has been tossed up. See, I don't see Sam Walker as that player that can do what Adam Reynolds does. Sam Walker's very much off the cuff. He's very much eyes up football. He plays what's in front of him. So I don't feel as though he's the answer. So it's an interesting one moving forward. But you forecast ahead 1 to 2 more years. All of a sudden, Walsh has got another year under his belt. So is Ezra Mann, whether it be 1 or 2 years. So there's still a lot of water that go under the bridge. There's still a lot of water, Benny, to go under the bridge this season. The Broncos, yes, you said they're off life support, but they're still in the ECU. I mean, they got the Dogs this week, and the Dogs are the best defensive team in the competition. And you saw that game between the Cowboys and the Dogs yesterday.
Yeah.
They are up for every fight. So it's going to be a huge run through to the end of the season for the Brisbane Broncos because of what we'd seen over the last 6 weeks.
13 13 55 0467 736 736. The Reynolds factor, the renovation for the Broncos. Is he the saviour for 2024? Quite possibly. I think so. Corey said yes, but there's a double-barrel question to this. Moving forward, do the Broncos need to go to market? Do the recruiters need to actively start searching out now what is the future? Or do you think, Broncos fans, that they've got it right there? Because just on that Bulldogs-Cowboys game, we'll get into it a little later. Tatey, who called the game for Fox, I'll be speaking to him next hour as well. Have the Cowboys done the Broncos a favour by beating the Bulldogs, or have they actually done them a disservice by just the bear poking the dog and getting them just stirred up and angry?
Yeah, well, the games yesterday, all bar the Titans team, all of those teams yesterday that played were all in the 8, except for the Titans. So moving forward, there's going to be some jostling going on. Yes, the Cowboys are able to beat the Bulldogs, but the Cowboys have still got a bye up their sleeve. So the Cowboys and the Roosters, who sit 4th currently, and the Sea Eagles, who are 5th, are the only teams in the 8 that have got a bye up their sleeve, as to the Brisbane Broncos. So there's still a little bit to unplay, and I'm not going to dive into the whole why we get points for byes again because I've exhausted that.
The Broncos have got another bye too.
Yeah, they do, but I don't know why there's points for byes because if you're
me
just the
either.
general punter and you look at the ladder, you go, oh, that's going okay. Oh, actually, they got a bye. They've had their byes. Anyway, I think moving ahead, Brisbane have got more points than the Dogs. But the Dogs have proven throughout 20 rounds that they've got a better defence than Brisbane. So it shapes as a real matchup. And I thought the same yesterday, that the Cowboys have more points, but the Dogs have a great defence. And it was only a bit of Tommy Dearden brilliance right at the death to give Jackson Purdue his try that ended up winning the game. Up until that point, it was a tough-fought affair. So it's going to be an intriguing battle this coming Saturday between those two.
Yeah, Broncos and Bulldogs, the next one on the list. If the Broncos weren't playing the Knights, if they were playing another team, do they win on the weekend?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. Like the opening
14 errors for Brisbane.
Yeah, the opening 20 minutes.
43 missed tackles.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
But Benny, when you are 6 in a row in a hole,
You
will
the
take
win.
them any which way
Sure.
you can. That's as seriously and as honest as you can be. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. The opening 20 minutes, the Broncos and the Knights for that matter, they looked nervous. Like they looked like a tentative football team. The Broncos looked like a football team that hadn't won in 6 times.
Yeah.
And the longer the game went on, the more the Broncos felt at ease and the more they actually got a hold of the game and went after it. I think the opening 20, there was like, it was like a 50% completion rate. They were bumbling around. But, The numbers at the end of the game looked not too bad. There was, you mentioned there was a stack of errors, but I think there was a lot of good things, and they can take that out because, again, they played the Newcastle Knights. Kalen Ponga was kept quiet, and he is their go-to man. They lost Bradman Best to a hamstring early, but the Broncos got a job done and ended up with a really good victory, 30 points to 14. It was 18-0 at halftime. So they got that job done, and any which way you can take a victory at this point in the season, when your season's on life support, you'll take it.
13-13-55 0467 736 736. We do have clear air now. The origin period is over. The Broncos have poked their head through. Now, what did Kevy say? We've put our foot through the fence. That's all we've done. We've now got to kick it down.
Yeah, look, again, Kevy's thrown some doozies out there. We put our foot through the fence. Now we're going to kick it down. It's like when he was talking about the pie chart, and he said there's a piece of the pie and then there's a quarter and a half, and he just lost it and went all around the roundabout. He's thrown some doozies up.
Yes, we are celebrating a Broncos win. They are back in the winner's circle. But earlier in the year, Cozza, you and I spoke about wins wallpapering over some cracks.
Yes.
Broncos fans, that's your cue. Today, on a Monday morning, clear air now that Origin's done, back in the winner's circle. Are you happy? Are they on the rise? Or there are still some issues? 13-13-55 0467 736 736. Before we get to our first break, Corey, the Moreton Bay Broncos text in. Morning, Ben and Corey. The Reynolds factor had a lot to do with the win and the way the Broncos play. But let's not forget, Broncos assistant coach Cardi is back from Blues assistant duties. The week before the Blues team is named, we lose to the Titans. The Broncos win when Origin is over. Cardi has had a lot to do with the way the team is coached, Moreton Bay Bronco. Throw Matt Ballin in there as well, because he was with the Queensland
this
setup.
Is another discussion. I mean, Cardi's leaving. Lee Breers is leaving, who's an assistant there. And by all reports that I've heard, Matty Ballin is leaving. So
Really?
that is 3 of the assistants that Kevy currently has under him at the moment that won't be there next year.
No one likes it.
Even Buzz doesn't like that. So it'll be interesting. Now, it's only rumoured.
Because I was about to get to a break, and you've thrown out that Matty Ballin could be leaving the Broncos.
It's only rumoured that Matty Ballin.
Okay.
It's alleged and rumoured. So until that's proven, I'm not sure. But to double down on what was just talked about with Cardi, it's interesting to see who will fill that role next year.
Nathan Cleary and Adam Reynolds, 2-star number 7s, returning over the weekend. Who had the better game? Who had the better performance? Who had the better impact?
Ooh.
Yes, Adam Reynolds or Nathan Cleary, 13-13-55 0467 736 736. Cozza, while we're just on that match, Dolphins, I know you shared the flight home with them. How much talk, or was there any talk around them not going for a field goal, 26 all, couple of minutes to go, in position?
Yeah, look, there was a missed opportunity, wasn't there? I mean, the young kid in Katoa, who's been terrific for them all season, they made a break, they get down the other end of the field, lose track of the tackle count. There was an opportunity, a perfect opportunity, left of the upright.
Hang on. Lose track of the tackle count.
Well, lost track of the context of the game. Like, he's a 20-year-old kid, Ben. Come on, let's just give him a little bit of leeway. And he went for the crossfield kick instead of the shot at field goal.
All right, well, let's
and it was a missed opportunity. It really was.
Yeah, and it was. And not Katoa, they don't get to that. They didn't even get to that point without what he did earlier in the game, the hammer scoring a double, outstanding stuff. But in that scenario, Cozza, talk us through how football teams work. Does the coach's box call down to...
Very difficult from the coach's box.
That's what I thought.
To get a...
The messages come out, go for the field goal.
Well, I was in Fox Studios covering the game, and I'm screaming at the TV, you got to have a shot, because it was perfect. It all opened up beautifully for Katoa, and he won a crossfield kick. Now, in the heat of the moment, things happen, Ben. And, if he had his time over again, you could see straight away, the moment he kicked the ball, he knew it was the wrong thing to do. And unfortunately, Nathan Cleary doesn't need any invitation, 45 out, absolutely nails it. Like, incredible. It was an unbelievable kick.
You're Broncos captain. You've been in this position.
Yes.
Broncos captain, you turn to your halfback in that position.
Yeah.
He's the one who's got to make the play. He's the one who's calling the shots, and that's what he does. He orders you around on the field. That's what halfbacks do.
Yeah.
Do you talk to him and say, mate, we got to feel good. We got to,
you do.
Or do you,
but you normally have a
or
set.
does it go
where you-
without saying?
No, yeah. Well, for the Broncos, we used to have a set called King Set, and you'd work for a field goal shot, right?
Yep.
And you'd have to be, depending on who was kicking, you'd have to be on either left upright or right upright, and then the opportunity to kick it. If I'm throwing a bit of defence up for Katoa, and he got it wrong, he did. It's the fact that there was a line break made, and then another play. It was really happening really quickly. It wasn't as though they worked their way in. It was one shot, one tackle, one lay there. Okay, now let's have a shot. It was a line break, and then a quick play of the ball, another quick run. So it happened really quickly.
Yep.
That's my defence for Katoa.
Yeah, and we're not throwing it on the kid because he's got teammates out there and he's got trainers and the bench and the call. So who makes the call? Is it the 300 gamer Jesse Bromwich's captain?
Jesse wasn't in the vicinity. He was sucking the big ones in just a little way back. So, look, I mean,
Jermaine Asako is their field goal specialist.
He's their long range field goal. Yeah.
Yeah. So should he have come in from the wing and say, "Give me the ball, let's go"?
Yeah, he should have. But, like, he was out on the other wing trying to catch the ball that Katoa had kicked across to try and score a try. It was just, he just got it wrong. Unfortunately for him, he's a wonderful player, terrific kid, and he's going to be a superstar for a long time. If he had his time over again, he'd love to do it.
Crunch moment, Penrith and Penrith getting to that position. They're the games you've got to ice. Does that give you a snapshot of where the Dolphins are at, but also going forward, making finals, making the 8, and making a difference come September if they do make it?
Well, I think they've shown their DNA for long enough period. We're in game number 20. We're in round 20. They have shown they're currently sitting in 6th spot on the ladder. They have shown their DNA and what they can do. And you know, again yesterday, they had a man sent to the bin, mind you. This is while they're playing with 12 in the back end of the game. Man sent to the bin, Josh Kerr, sent to the bin. So they're doing it under all sorts of duress. Mate, they're a team that just epitomises everything you need from rugby, like a true Wayne Bennett coach team. They work hard, they compete. They've got some individuals that can come up with plays. They can, if they make the finals, and it's still a long race yet. If they make the finals, they can certainly disrupt a few. Can they win the competition? No, they can't. For mine, they can't win the competition. But if they can have their players all playing, Marshall King's going to be a huge loss for them, particularly when they get into the back end. But the moment, whilst Hammer is in the team, they're a chance. And whilst they continually turn up the way they do, they're a chance. Are they going to win the comp? I think it's fair to say no. But they can certainly rock the boat of a few on the way in.